Okay, so today what we're going to do is learn how to format a Microsoft Word document in APA 6th edition. So any paper that you're going to write that's going to be in APA style, you're going to need to know how to do this. So today what we're going to do is figure out how to do the headers, how to do our title page, how to do page numbers and margins and all that kind of stuff. So the first thing that you need to do is open Microsoft Word. So we're going to open Microsoft Word. Now, my Microsoft Word might look a little bit different than yours depending on what version of Word you're using. And the other thing is that if you're using a Mac right now, or will be using a Mac, some of your buttons might be in a different spot. All of the features are still there, it's just a matter of where the buttons are. So, the first thing you need to do is go up to the View tab, and what we're going to do is make sure that our ruler is showing, which is right up here. So if you don't see this ruler on the top and on the left, right here where it says ruler, you want to make sure that this box is checked. So if I uncheck the box, the ruler will go away. And when I check it, the ruler will show up. So this is what you want it to look like. So we're going to go to the Home tab, and that's mainly where we're going to be for a lot of this. So the Home tab is going to show your fonts, which is the style of writing that you're going to use. Then this is the paragraph section that handles your alignment and your spacing and things like that. These are the two areas we're going to be using. So the first thing that we want to do is set your font. Now mine is actually already set, but you can either use this drop down to set your font to Times New Roman 12, or you can click on this little box which will bring up the whole font box. So if you're going to do the little drop down, you're going to click on this arrow. You can type in Times New Roman and it should auto-populate for you. There it is for me because I use it quite often. APA style always requires that you are in Times New Roman size 12 font. Sometimes different teachers will allow you to use different fonts, but if a teacher doesn't tell you what font to use, this is always your safe bet. And then this is the size. So again, you're going to click the drop down arrow and pick your 12. If you're going to do it this way, click on the little box. Here's going to be your font. The style is going to be regular because you don't want it to be bold or anything like that. And then pick size 12. Now, an easy way to do this so you don't have to set it all the time is to set it as a default, which means every single time you open Microsoft Word, it will automatically be in Times New Roman size 12. So if you're going to do that, click on Set as Default. And you want to click the bottom option, which would be All Documents. Don't be scared by the normal template thing. So you're going to hit the second option, hit OK, and you're done with that part. The next thing that we're going to set is the margins, and this is why we needed the ruler. So margins, do you see where my cursor is blinking right now? The area here where nothing will be typed, and the area up here where nothing will be typed are called margins, and that's why you have to set them. So to set margins, to set margins, the easiest way is to put your cursor up here in this shaded area. Mine looks gray, yours might look more bluish. Put your cursor in that area and double click. When you double click, this will show up for you. So when this pops up, you want to make sure that top, left, bottom, and right are all set to 1 because you want 1-inch margins. I strongly recommend setting this as a default also, just like you did the font. So you go down to after you set this to the number 1, and you can either use your number keys on your keyboard or you could use these little arrows. You want to come down here to Set as Default and hit Yes. And now your margins will always be set to 1 inch. The last thing that we need to do is double spacing. A lot of people have a tendency that they will write something, and then on the next line they will write something, but to double space, don't you love those words? But to double space, someone will hit enter with every line. You don't want to do that because it makes editing a lot harder and then you end up with all weird squiggles. So you actually want Microsoft Word to do this for you. So we're going to use the paragraph tab now. And again, you can set the double spacing 2 different ways, so I'll show you both. The first one is to use this little icon right here with the little lines. So if you click on the drop down, double spacing is going to be 2.0. So when you click on it, then the menu disappears. So I'm just going to click on it again so you could see you want the little check mark to be by the 2.0. Now the other thing about this window is that down at the bottom, see these spots? You want both of them to start with the word add. If one or both of them say the word remove, click on it and then click back on this menu until both of them say add. The reason for that is because if either one of these is set and starts with the word remove, what's going to happen is Microsoft Word is going to double space your lines and then add additional spaces in between, and you don't want that to happen. So this is the short way to do it. The longer way, again, is to click this little bottom box and then you get all the paragraph settings. Down here, you don't have to worry about any of this stuff up at the top. Down here under the spacing section, under line spacing, you want it to say double so it doesn't have decimals now like the other one does. So you want it to say double, and you want the before and the after both set to 0. So instead of saying remove, we actually give it a number value here. I would not set this as a default because sometimes some teachers won't want things double spaced, so I would just do this manually for every document. So you're just going to hit OK. You do have the option to set it as a default, but I wouldn't for now. Okay, so now that our document is completely set up, the first thing that we need to do is to do our page headers and insert our headers. So these are things that are going to be at the top of the page all the time, and Microsoft Word will automatically kind of count up our pages for us, so we don't have to worry about it. So we just have to set it up the first time, and then everything will do it itself. So to do this, we're going to go up to the Insert tab, and mine is all the way over here if your Microsoft Word looks like mine. You're going to look for Header. Now, anytime you see an option in Microsoft Word that has this little arrow underneath it, it means you have more options to pick. So click Header so that the options show up. And you're going to click on the first one, which is blank, because we're going to format it the way we want. If you happen to scroll down, there are tons of different ways that you can format a header, but you don't have to worry about any of that. We're just going to pick the very first one, which is blank. Again, if you're using a Mac, blank might not be your first option, but that's the one that you're looking for. So when you click that, you're going to see this word type here. Now, before we do anything else, we have to go up to the top, and we have to find your little, I like to call it the magic button up here that says Different First Page. In APA style, our first page in our header is going to say something different than the second page to the end of the document. So we need to make sure that we click this button so that we can write something different in the header spot in the upper left corner for the first page than we will on the other pages. If you don't click this box, it's going to be very hard. You're not going to be able to change what it says from page 1 to page 2. So this is your magic button. Make sure you have a check mark in this box. When I do, this is going to disappear, but don't panic. Ta-da! Okay, so this dotted line that's down here separates the header area from the rest of the paper, so we're going to be working up here for the next couple minutes. So in APA style, on the very first page, you always have to start with the words running head. If you ask me why, my answer is going to be because APA says so. I don't have a better answer other than that. If you're familiar with APA in previous editions, you didn't have to do this. This is something new to 6th edition. So notice that the R is capitalized, that the H is lowercase, and there is a space in between, and then there's the 2 dots, which is actually called a colon. There's the 2 dots after the word head. This is exactly how it has to look. If yours looks any other way with the R lowercase or the H capitalized, it's technically wrong. Okay, so the thing that's going to come after the colon is going to be in all caps, and it's going to be a shortened version of whatever you're going to name your paper. So let's say we're going to call our paper APA is a pain in the butt. We need to take a shortened version of that title and put it up here in all caps. So let's just do APA. Now, If you're doing a technical 6th edition paper, this part right here in caps cannot be more than 20 characters. So spaces, periods, punctuation counts as a character. If you're just doing this in class for me, I don't care. I'm not going to count up to the 20 characters, but basically you don't want it to be too long. Okay. So the next thing that we're going to do is take our blinking cursor, and we need to move it all the way over here right underneath where the gray and the white meet. So I'm going to hit my tab key to do that. That's the fastest way to do it. If you're looking at the keyboard and you're not sure where the tab key is, it's underneath the number 1. You might only have to hit this once, you might have to hit it more. I just only had to hit it twice. But you want the cursor blinking right at that spot. We are going to go up to page number. You have to insert the page number because that's how Microsoft Word is going to count up the pages on its own. If you just typed in the number 1 like this, then every other page is going to be labeled as number 1. So you have to go to page number. Because our cursor is already where we want the page number to go, we're going to click on current position and then do plain number. So if I went too fast, I'm going to do it again for you, or you could rewind me, I guess. So we put the cursor here, we go to page number, current position, plain number. So just like when we picked the header, it's the very first option. So when we click on this, the number 1 is going to show up over here. Done. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I need to turn this off for a minute because I need to type down here. So I'm going to double click anywhere underneath the dotted line, and when I do, this is going to turn a lighter shade of gray just to show you that it's not being used at that point. See, so now it's a lighter shade of gray. Okay, so I'm going to use the zoom in tools down here, and I'm going to hit the minus sign so that I could zoom out so you could see the entire document. So what you need to do next is hit the enter key, because now the information that we need to put needs to go right about here in the center of the page. Now you can either eyeball this, so right about there. If your ruler is on, which it should be, you want to put your cursor right around, somewhere between the 3 and the 4. So I just hit enter and I eyeballed it, and I'm right about where the number 3 is on the ruler. So I'm just going to zoom in again because now we have to type stuff. So up in the paragraph section, these little things, if you're not sure what they are, these tell the cursor where to start blinking. So this is left, align left, so that means our cursor is going to start blinking on the left-hand margin. This one's align right, which means our cursor would start here, and then anything we typed would go this way. So we want to use the align center, and you'll watch when we click on this, the cursor is going to jump to the middle of the page. So now when we type, it's going to start in the center, and then it's going to spread to the ends of the page. So the first thing that we put is the title of our paper. So you don't do anything special to this, no bold, no underline, no quotation marks, with normal capitalization. So then we're going to hit enter, and the student's name goes next. And if you're in my class, you'll be getting a handout for this of how I want you to set up the very first page. Some instructors will have you do this title page and this information a little bit differently, so don't be thrown off by that. The next line typically is your instructor's name, then the name of the school, and put the full name of the school, not just what you call it. And then on the next line would be the date, and you write this in normal order. So month, date, year. Do not abbreviate months that don't have an abbreviation. May, April, June, July, they do not have abbreviations. March doesn't, so don't abbreviate them. Okay, so now your first page is finished. So now we have to go on to the second page. So when your cursor is after your date and you're done typing, all I'm going to do is hit the enter key until a second page is created. Okay, so there it is. So So now our header is automatically up here. But notice it doesn't say the same thing as this does because we clicked on that button that said different first page. So we have to fill this in. So I'm just going to zoom in again down here with my little zoom tools. So I'm going to hit the plus sign and zoom in. And I'm going to scroll up. Now, we're going to double click where it says type here so that this turns black, that dotted line shows up, and we can type in this area. So what you put here has to match identically to this. So some people like to copy and paste to make sure that it's exactly right. Doesn't really matter. You could retype it. So down here on the second page, we're going to put APA. And again, it's going to be in all caps. Has to be. If you wrote the word running head on here again, that would technically be wrong. So we have to do the same exact thing that we did on the first page, and we have to hit our tab key until we line up over here because we have to add the page number again. Now again, if you hit the number 2, every page thereafter will be page number 2. So we have to go back up to the page number, and I'm just going to repeat the same exact steps I did on the first page. So page number, current position, plain number, and there's our number 2. So we want to double click underneath the dotted line. We have one more step left and we're done. So what I was just doing is, here's the bottom of my first page. The very first line at the top of the second page, in the center, we need to retype the full title of the paper as it looks on the cover page, or title page. So again, some people might use copy and paste, some people might retype it, whatever you choose to do. So I'm going to copy and paste. If you know the keyboard shortcuts, go ahead. I'm just kind of doing it this way so you can see how I'm doing this. So I'm just right-clicking, and I copied and I pasted. This very next line is where you're actually going to start beginning your introduction. But we can't have the cursor in the middle. We need to move it back so that the cursor starts over here. So up here in the paragraph area, we're going to hit align left, hit tab to indent, and here is where your introductory paragraph will start. Now, as you keep typing, someone try and pronounce that word. As you keep typing, you'll notice that Microsoft Word wrapped this around all on its own, and here's that little space right here. This is the double spacing. Now, when you create a new paragraph, do not hit enter a second time and put it here. This is not right because now you have this huge space in between your paragraphs. So when you finish a paragraph and you hit enter to start a new one, that's all you have to do is hit enter once and start your new paragraph. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit, and I'm just going to create a third page so that you can see that this will actually count up for you. Ta-da! So now this looks identical to page 2, and page 1 looks completely different up here in the header spot. That's what it means by different first page. If yours came out any differently than this, you might want to go back through the steps and make sure that you followed everything correctly. So the very last thing I'm going to show you how to do is how to save this, because you want to make sure that you save your work as you go. So in this version of Microsoft Word, I'm going to go to File, and go to Save As. Now, the thing with saving is that you need to make sure that you know where you're saving it so you can go find it again. A lot of people just hit save and it auto-saves into your documents or something like that, but then you can't find the document again. So for our purposes, I'm just going to put this on the desktop. So I'm going to hit Browse. Now over here is where you find where you want to put something. So down here, that's my flash drive that I have plugged in, but I'm not going to save it there. I'm going to save it to my desktop, and I'm going to name the file whatever I want. This down here is the type of file you're going to save it as. So notice you can save it as a PDF, you can save it as an RTF, we're just going to stick with a basic Word document, and that's all you ever need to do, and this will more than likely be your default. So we're going to hit save. You'll notice up here at the top, whoops, you'll notice up here at the top that now it doesn't just say document 1, it actually says what I named the document. And if I shrink this down and go to my desktop, there's the file. Everybody say hi to my puppy. So now that I know where the file is, I can open it again, I can work on it, I can attach it to an email or anything like that that I might need to do. So I hope that this helped you out. Make sure that you play this through, because if you are in my class and you need to put your paper in APA formatting and it's not, you're going to lose points. There's one last thing I'm going to show you. At the very last page, you want to make sure if you're doing a paper for me and you need to have a reference page, on the very last page of your document, in the center, you're going to write the word references. You're going to align left and start your first citation here. You're not going to indent this because you're going to indent the second line. But you need to know that the word references starts at the very, very top of the page, and your reference page also needs to have these page headers. So make sure that this is what your reference page looks like at the top when you're formatting it. Okay? I hope this helped. Make sure you ask me if you have any questions about anything. Setting your document up properly is a really great place to save points as far as your grading and your rubric is concerned. So get this down, but if you need help, I'm always here for you.